how to become a better leader in 2025. There is no better time than now to become a better leader. And I share this because as you look around, AI is developing super quickly, the new technologies that are coming, and the way that the world is very shifting into this whole other world, we get to grow and evolve and shift as leaders. Because what worked for us in the past is not going to work for us in the future, which is exciting, and at the same time, it can be very overwhelming. And this is why today I want to give you some steps that you can take today to implement to become a better leader. I'm Emily, and I'm here with Transformative Leadership. As most of you know me, I'm direct to the point, and I am going to always keep it honest and real with you in all of my content. And I'm super excited to be back to creating leadership business content on my channel here. And I really want to take the time to help you map out how to become a better leader. This does not mean that you're not already a great leader, because every great leader also has the opportunity to become even better. It doesn't matter. There are people out there that are better leaders than you now, and there are people out there that are worse leaders than you now. So it's all about perspective and also seeing, where do you want to grow to? How do you want to evolve? How do you want to continue to show up as a leader? And asking these questions. So feel free to share this video with the leaders that you know. And also, as I'm going through this, feel free to pause the video and actually do the work as you're going through the video, or come back and rewatch it to do the work. I don't want you just to watch this video and not take any action. That's just consuming content. That's not embodying anything. And if you've worked with me in the past, you know I teach practicing and embodying what you are learning, because that is how you make the change and the shift. So step one really is an honest evaluation. And I say this with so much love. We want to do this exercise with no judgment. We want to make sure that we are looking at what is our opportunities for growth and what have we been really, really good at that we want to continue at. We get to look at both sides. And when we look at our opportunities for growth, this takes some honest evaluation to really be real with yourself. Be real with what you get to shift and change. And sometimes those things can be challenging for us to really look at. And we sometimes avoid them because of the fact that they can be very challenging as leaders to look at. And sometimes it takes like a deep vulnerability to hold that space, to be honest with the evaluation process. And so I encourage you to have so much love for yourself in this process. It's a journey, right? And you get to have so much love for yourself through this process. And so the evaluation process is really, what do I get to shift and change? What do I really deep down know I get to shift and change? Is it my communication style? Is it the fact that I don't have balance? Is it the fact that of how I interact with people? Am I beating myself up in my head because I don't feel like I'm good enough? Do I feel like I'm overwhelmed all the time? Like, what gets to shift and change? How do I get to become better? And sometimes becoming better means becoming better for ourselves. Because when we do this, this is just a ripple effect. If you've been following me, you know that I'm a huge believer in leader of self. And when you become the great leader and you become a leader of self and you build that strong foundation, it just ripples out. It ripples out in your family, friends, your network, your business, your team, everything. And so this evaluation is really just trust yourself through this evaluation to see what your opportunities are for growth. And then also see what is some of the feedback that you've gotten in the past couple of months or the year. And you can do surveys, you can ask people. When you ask people, make sure you ask the people that are real with you and honest and won't just tell you something that you want to hear. This is one of my superpowers, is when I'm working with clients, I love to be very real and honest with them, but also do it in a loving way of, hey, I see you, but this is an opportunity for growth. You beating yourself up in your head that you're not good enough and you're always over serving, that's an opportunity for growth. And so I encourage you to get really honest with yourself. Write it on a piece of paper. Take some time to reflect. And then on the flip side, also look at where have you been? Like, what have you accomplished? What have you developed? And maybe developing yourself as a leader wasn't your focus, but now you want to shift into that focus, right? That is really that shift that you get to make. So step 1 is evaluation. Step 2 is creating an action plan. In this action plan, taking your opportunities for growth, 2 or 3 of them, you don't need to have the whole list. Like, we don't need to change everything at once, because sometimes when we change 2 or 3 things, it affects everything else. And we're like, oh, we don't have that issue anymore, right? So just really looking at 2 or 3 things and creating an action plan on how you're going to develop those skills, how you are going to develop yourself to become a better leader. So for example, if you are a leader that knows that you get to learn how to communicate better, that is going to be on your action plan of learning how to communicate better, and then breaking it down from there. Does that look like you're going to get coaching? Does that look like you're going to get a mentorship? Does that look like you're going to read a book or take a course? Now, I say all of these things to also say in your action plan, when you break this down with how you're going to build this out to become a better leader, you're also going to put in your action plan time to practice it, time to implement what you've learned. I see this a lot, especially in the coaching industry, and with those coaches that I've worked with. They're very great at reading the books, listening to the podcast, taking the course, but then forgetting to actually embody the work on a daily basis, to practice it, so that way you shift your identity. Because it doesn't matter what you learn or what you consume if you're not going to take what you consumed and actually practice it, embody it on a day-to-day basis. Then step 3 is the execution phase, which kind of goes into the practice piece of it. But the execution phase is you have your action plan and now you're going to execute. You're going to hold yourself accountable. And this is huge, because accountability is not this word that everybody's like, oh, I love accountability, right? And we see this with a lot of our clients that we work with. They literally need just accountability check-ins. Like, hey, I just need someone to check in to make sure I got this done. And I totally understand that, because when we are holding ourselves accountable to someone outside of ourselves, sometimes that works harder for us, right? And then other people, it doesn't work for them. So understanding in your execution how you're going to hold yourself accountable. What does that look like? Are you going to have daily check-ins with yourself? I highly recommend, if you want to become a better leader, to learn accountability tools. And if you don't know what these tools are, I'm happy to have those conversations. My DMs are always open. I'm mostly on LinkedIn or Threads or Instagram, or email me, and I'm happy to provide those tools for you to start holding yourself accountable, because no one is going to hold yourself accountable the way you're going to hold yourself accountable. And when you have that deep level of accountability, execution makes it really easier. And it's simpler for you to show up and execute on your action plan, because evaluation and action plan is just that. Without the execution piece, it's just, you're just going to continue to get the same results. And that is not what we're about moving forward. We're about here creating and becoming a better leader so that way we can make a bigger impact in the world, right? Maybe that's not your why, but that's one of my whys. And then the last piece of this is reflection. So after some time, what is the reflection process for you? You're going to look at your opportunities for growth, what you did, how you execute, and I want you to reflect over the whole thing. So if you really want to think about project management and doing a project management plan over this, because my brain works in project management, really look in your action plan, put also your reflection time. And I highly recommend reflecting on a weekly basis. I really love the process of sitting down to see what worked for me this week. What changes did I make that really got me to my goal, or that I became a better leader? And maybe that looked like, I took more time to rest. I actually hit all my workouts, or I became a better leader because I had more patience. And I'm learning patience. I'm cultivating that. And so really the reflection process is more for you to see where you at and acknowledge and celebrate your growth, because as you do that, that's also going to continue to fuel you to continue to grow. There's a thing with leadership, a lot of times we think it's like just this one destination, right? Or maybe it's just, I want to get to this title. I just want to have that status and then I'm good. but it really doesn't end there. It's a journey and it's a constant evolution. And when we can understand that leadership is a constant evolution and it's a growth, and we don't have a destination because we just become better and better and better unless we choose to stay stagnant. And this is why you can always take this process of evaluation, creating an action plan, executing, and reflection. Literally take the process, and it works every time if you do the work. And as we continue to move into this new era, this new world of, AI and all these things, these are going to be tools that are going to help you continue to move forward. They're going to be tools that are really going to help you ground and build that strong foundation of how to become a better leader. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in the comments below. Share this with those that it resonates with, that that would get value out of it. And if you have any other leadership content, business operations, cost savings, or whatever you want to see, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I respond to all of my comments that I get on my channel, and I'm always happy to have those conversations. Until next time, go show up for yourself, do the work, and choose to become a better leader, because the world needs great leaders.